Don't want to get in trouble just before the election, and they'll take it anyway, anyhow they can get it. The president himself doesn't really seem to know what's going on. Over the weekend, he referred to the economy was strong as hell as he ate his ice cream cone. Take a look.
Are you concerned about the strength of the dollar right now?
I'm not concerned about the strength of the dollar. I'm concerned about the rest of the world. Does that make sense?
Can you explain that?
Yes. Our economy is strong as hell. The internals are.
Aw, Joey must have been a good boy that day because he got ice cream. Anyway, 41-year high of inflation. Sorry. Turkey prices are now 73% higher. I'm not laughing about that. Sadly, just in time for Thanksgiving. By the way, if you've never fried a turkey, you might want to get a Butterball turkey fryer. They are amazing. Anyway, meanwhile, gas prices, look, they're approaching another record high, continuing to climb as we speak. Interest rates now have more than doubled. The housing market is in a full-out crash. The stock market has already plummeted. Retirement accounts, 401ks, other investments, they are taking a beating. According to Stephen Moore, fully 25% of your investment retirement portfolio has been wiped away. It's the single worst year for the stock and bond market investors since 1969. And unfortunately, supply chain issues persist. While you're at it, violent crime is through the roof in small towns and big cities all across the country, especially in blue cities, in blue towns run by Democrats for decades, the ones that want to defund, dismantle, and buy into this no-bail madness. And by the way, as you know, your border is a nightmare. But according to Nancy Pelosi, none of this matters to Americans. Let's see if Nancy's right. You decide.
So let's talk about rising inflation concerns along with crime, giving momentum, new momentum to Republicans after the Democrats were closing the gap. Why do you think the president has gotten this message through the voters?
Well, first of all, let me say that I think that much of what you've said I don't agree with. That is to say, the New York Times poll, I think, is an outlier poll. You cite one poll, but all the other polls.
It's also the Real Clear Politics average is showing similar issues.
No, but that was one that brought down the average, and it was an outlier. It wasn't even that big a sample. So I dismiss that.
I dismiss your miserable lives, your high gas prices, your inflation, crime in big cities, small towns. I'll just dismiss it. After a lucrative 5 decades in the swamp, Nancy Pelosi is clearly not in touch with reality. She's getting pretty close to Joe Biden territory. However, the 82-year-old speaker is slightly more lucid than her comrade at the White House. For example, here is Joe Biden spelling out the dot in a web address, such as .com. Look for yourself.
If you get any questionable calls, please tell us by going to report fraud, DOTFTC.gov.
This is really embarrassing. It's hard to take, and it gets worse. Today, Joe sounded very dazed and confused and disjointed as he slurred his way through a short speech. Take a look.
As they say in one of the towns, they ain't seen nothing yet. The right that I pushed hard and it finally got changed, the married couples in the privacy of their bedroom, excuse me, I'm thinking about the Dobbs decision. Imagine, well, I'll get to that in a second with Clarence Thomas. Meanwhile, and I just want to make clear, I know you all know, but I'll make sure they're talking about the right to use contraception and the right to marry who you love. I mean, anyway. I don't want to get started. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'm sorry. 2 words, made in America. Okay. A 3-letter word, jobs, J-O-B-S. Okay. Now even fake news CNN is reporting that Biden has spent more than a fourth of his presidency on vacation in Delaware, far outpacing any president before him. By the way, I don't take half the vacation I'm entitled to on any given year. I must nothing compared to January 6th. Take a look.
I think if you look at the scale in terms of the threat to democracy, I mean, 9/11 was a tragedy. We lost thousands of lives in a horrific way that we still mourn to this day. But when you look at something that is an attack on democracy, something that could actually bring about a fundamental change to American governance as we understand it, 9/11 is nothing compared to January 6th.
You know what else is a threat to democracy? When you have people that abuse power, that are corrupt, that use a phony, bought and paid for Russian disinformation dossier they know in early October is unverifiable because they offered the guy that put it together $1 million to authenticate it, and he can't do it. And Peter Strzok was a part of that. But what do I know? I'm just a smelly Walmart shopper that voted for Donald Trump. Here with more.